This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
If your fashion wish list lives rent-free in your brain, you need to be on Poshmark. With Poshmark, you're shopping millions of listings from thousands of closets, each curated by someone with their own style. Vintage finds, designer pieces, and everyday staples all in one place. Search for your favorites or let the discovery come to you. Poshmark makes it easy to find what you actually want to wear at prices that feel like a quiet win. Download the Poshmark app today and use code PODCAST10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase.
A Swift Kick in the Ass, episode 23.
All big changes start with a swift kick in the ass. Join the journey of lifelong friends, John Curran and Tom Stewart, as they make conventional thought bend over and take a boot to the keister. Warning, listeners may notice a force equal to or greater than needed to get your ass moving. A swift kick in the ass. Living life on your terms.
Welcome, I'm Tom Stewart, and I'm joined with my lifelong friend, John Curran. And this is a follow-up to our episode 21 and 22, which was called Boot to the Ass. And that's where we discussed the mental strategies for getting in shape. And me and John were going to kind of change things and try to get our body in shape before the new year started. And the new year has come and gone. And John, do you feel in shape yet?
I know I'm not in shape. I think I'm in better shape than I was when we first started talking now. I mean, am I as far along as I'd like to be? Am I back into my full routine? No, I'm nowhere even close. But I am making small baby steps. I have been trying to walk more. I've been stretching more, doing kind of calisthenics type exercises just to try to limber up and kind of get moving and get flowing again. But
Right.
not on a regular schedule.
Now the thing is that if they didn't listen to the other episodes, basically, I was going through that next morning, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had made a deal with my wife because she's up early and, she's into CrossFit and she does CrossFit every morning at 5. So she was like, she would wake me up and I'd start hitting the weights and, try not to have any excuses not to, do what I needed to do. And then you called me the next day and you're like, hey, did you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning? And I was like, no, didn't happen.
I have to admit, Tom, I knew you weren't going to. I've known you a long time, and I knew that you weren't going to do it just as much as I would know that I would not do that. I have never once had success in hitting, setting the alarm clock and actually getting up to exercise. At least very few times in my life have I been able to do that. So, knowing yourself, I think is the first battle there.
Yeah, I think the problem is, I do jujitsu at night. So, and that keeps me in shape, but a lot of times things come up. Even my jujitsu training lately has been very haphazard. And the reason for that's things like, I had my dishwasher go out on me and I got home and there was water all over the floor. So yeah, I couldn't train that night. Then it took me a couple of days to procure a new dishwasher and to take out the old one, install it. And then there's things with kids. There was the holidays, a lot of stuff going on. And what happens is all that stuff gets in the way of your goals. So my whole idea was, hey, if I wake up early, it's done. And it's a good philosophy if you can do it. But then it's done. It's out of the way. No matter what comes up in your day, that's fine. You got time to deal with it. Well, the problem with that,
it's not working for you though.
No. And the thing is I have the best intentions. I wanted to do it. However, that night after we did our podcast, what I do, I stayed up editing our podcast so we could get our podcast out. By the time I went to sleep, it was after midnight. So I'm going to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. What happens is when that alarm clock went off, I looked at it and I was like, I feel like I'm getting my throat's a little scratchy. If I work out now and my resistance is going to go down, I know how that works. Your body's and I'm just going to be sick for a couple of days. So I'll tell you what, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, you have like this self talk, and that's what I titled the name of this episode, the hidden enemy. And what that is, I think, is your subconscious. And when you're tired and you're in bed and it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna do that later, or I got class tonight. I'll train a little extra harder so I don't have to work out, and I'll work out when I get home. I'll lift some weights after class, and it just doesn't happen. And I think that self talk when you're in that weak stage, brings keeps you from doing what you really want to do. And I think what the thing is I was aspiring to do two things. I was trying to work out, which I hadn't done in a while with weights, and wake up early. And I think it's too much at one time. I think we have to focus on maybe waking up early and just kind of hanging out and relax and get used to it and do that for a little while until my body acclimates to it. And then I can throw in working out. What do you think?
That's a really kind of a loaded question, Tom, to ask me what I think about that. I think that no matter what you want to do and what you want to accomplish, life has a way of throwing challenges and hurdles at us. So life happens no matter what we're doing. Um, if you go back a few episodes, I told a story about when my wife and I were up to our ears in debt, and or up to our eyeballs in debt, and we're starting to make traction, and everything. All of a sudden, everything started to break down, and on top of it, I had mono, so I had no money. Our dishwasher broke, our refrigerator broke, our microwave got caught on fire. It was terrible. Um, but at that time, I realized life happens. The only reason that was an issue is because I didn't have the money to fix it. So I look at your situation and I think, yeah, life is happening for Tom. You're upset and you don't like it because it's getting in the way of your plans, but it's also that's not never going to go away. Life is going to continue to happen. So you need to figure out how to get around that. And you mentioned getting up early, and I don't know about you, but if I don't have a good reason to get up, I'm not going to be getting up. So that's where I think the hole is with your with with this new approach is you're just going to get up just to like drink coffee. I mean, I think
Well, I mean, to change my body to get used to getting up, because what I'm doing is I'm fighting getting out of bed and then working out. So I am fighting
right.
two things, two different changes at once.
So are you
And
getting out of bed already?
no, I've done it a couple times where I like where like in the morning, like on the weekend, like Sundays, I'll get up with no problem because I know that I got time to rest later or what have you. So I'll wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and or before and go down to the beach and train. So that's not a problem. But doing it on a weekday, I think I self-talk myself because I'm thinking, oh man, say a Monday, right? I train jujitsu on Monday nights, so I wake up Monday morning and I'm like, man, I don't want if I train now and then I go to work, I'm going to be beat by the time I get to jujitsu. And you know what? Maybe I'll just train jujitsu today, and then on Tuesdays I'll wake up at 5 in the morning. So what happens is things come up and nothing changes. So I've been kind of stagnant where I've squeezed some workouts in on nights that I didn't train jujitsu, but not to where I'm happy. Um, I saw a quote that kind of talks about this, and it's by Carl Jung, and it's in our naivety, we have forgotten that beneath our world of reason, another one lies buried, and that's basically talking about our subconscious and how it's basically we're our own worst enemy, and when making change it's hard, man. You need to focus on what you want to change, and you need to, I think, make small little steps.
Yeah, well, I've been, reading a lot about change and so forth, and knowing yourself is probably the best way to get traction is in regards to change, but also creating an identity-based type of goal, meaning who do you want to be? Do you want to be that guy who I mean, it sounds to me, Tom, like you want to be that guy who gets up in the morning and works out and exercises, and I agree with you. I think it's great. You get it out of the way, and actually you benefit, your body benefits from the increased metabolism all day. There's been studies left and right show that
But
exercise
the thing
in the
is,
morning is good.
I don't want to wake up. I think part of me doesn't want to wake because I'm not a morning person and I don't train well in the morning. I just think that's the most logical time for me to train. And so I'm fighting myself. My body, I've always, when I used to lift weights on a regular basis, I always did it in the afternoon after work. But, like I
Right.
said, I train jujitsu now, and that's my classes at 7 o'clock. So, by the time I get home is 6:30. I run real quick to the gym and do jujitsu. But jujitsu, as great as it is for your body, it's not giving me the strength. I'm fighting guys that are half my age and all stacked with muscles, and I want to build up my strength.
Yeah. Well, Tom, I'd like to see how successful you are with this new approach. Just getting up in the morning without forcing yourself to exercise, and see how that goes. And I think that by doing, I mean, I think I mentioned a negative and saying, "Oh, you're not going to do that." Hopefully that pushes the right button, so you actually do that and prove me wrong, because I think by getting up and acclimating yourself, you're going to start proving to yourself that you're able and you're willing to do just that. Um, as you said, you used to work out in the afternoons. I used to work out with you as well in the afternoons. I like that. I like working out at night, but I'm right there with you with my constraints between work and family. And my nights are not all that free. I'm not all Life is happening for me as well. I'm not able to really work that into my schedule. I worked out. I worked out on Sunday of last week. Um, that got me in the gym, but that was a week ago. And when you're starting to make changes, when you're trying to make a long-term, lasting type of change, um, what you do on a daily basis tells you whether or not you're going to be successful. And
Right.
I'm not going to be successful, and I am not going to get into shape by going to the gym once a week. That's just, so I'm struggling with this as
No,
well.
it is better than nothing. I mean, it is better than nothing. However, it's, kind of that weekend warrior thing where you
Yeah.
don't have time to acclimate your body because you're only doing it once a week. That's 4 times a month. That's not a lot,
It's more harmful
but
for you as
but
well.
it's better.
You're
Well,
prone to injury
right.
when you do that. Um, but I'm with you, and I'm in the midst of kind of changing the way I view myself, and I think part of how I view myself now is is not really uh, is not really a true picture, because I think of myself back when I was 28, working out 6 or 7 days a week, and I had, you know, a big, arms of steel and big chest, and I was in great shape, but I was not married. I didn't have children. I didn't have a really truly responsible job at that time. My life was different.
Right. And the purpose of us talking about this is not just so you think, oh, these two guys are just talking about getting in shape. It's talking about, we've done a lot with personal change, and we're just trying to do something simple. Simple to, I mean, it's supposed to be simple, it's just to work out. I mean, it's not, me and John both know how to work out. It's just a matter of working out. And we want you to see how we're failing to even accomplish the things that we really want to do, which is a small thing. I mean, I guess maybe I'm not putting enough priority in it in my life, or maybe I would wake up at 5 in the morning, but I'm talking about my challenges of what I'm facing that internal battle that that defeats yourself. And I mean, I think people could relate to that, and I think it's we're trying to work through it, and we're talking about our failures as well as our successes. I think in order to help others that are probably going through the same issues, and it doesn't have to be working out; it could be anything. And I can imagine trying to change something bigger than just working out. Try to change an addiction or something, or a really bad habit. Quit smoking. That's yeah. Well, you've quit smoking before, John, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Uh, that was about 15 years ago now, and I'm glad that you brought that up because change does impact the way you view yourself. And I am a non-smoker. I view myself now as a non-smoker, but I also recognize that if I was to have one cigarette, even 15 years after being quit, one cigarette, I would be right back into the habit. It would pick up just like that. So I have to stay away. I have to recognize that about myself and stay away from cigarettes because I know it's just not worth it. I don't want to go down that road again. Um, and I know what it's like to be a smoker. I know what it's like to be a non-smoker. I choose to be a non-smoker. Same with exercise. There was a time when I worked out routinely. It was a part of my daily routine. I was in shape, um, and I felt good, very good about myself, and I felt like it helped me with my stress as well. So I know the benefits of it.
So how are you going to accomplish your goal of working out? As if you're not going to do it in the morning, when is the time that you're going to do it?
Well, I
And
think
how can I hold you accountable?
that's fair enough. Uh, I myself am going through this kind of the same process that you are, trying to figure out what time is best. I hate to say it, but I think I have to go with the morning time to work out. It's just I've never been able to do it, but I feel like I need to. You're shaking your head at me, saying, "Oh yeah, you're not." John,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you want to bet me
Hey,
money
it's
right
cold. You live in Virginia, right? I imagine it's pretty
now.
cold there right now. So waking up and touching some cold steel, I bet you're going to be like, no, I'm going to stay in my
I
electric
mean,
blanket and stay cozy here.
I think this is a process that a lot of us go through when we're trying to implement some type of change, whether it's quitting smoking or exercising or doing anything new. Um, I think you need to think through your actions and then take a shot at it and keep trying different approaches until you find one that works for you. Uh, I've
I
already
read it. Can I say a quote that I saw earlier that this kind of reminds me of? It's those that think too much before stepping forward spend their lives on one leg. That's by a guy named Anthony DeMillo.
Well, I'm just hopping around right now. I agree with you. I've been thinking about it, but I have been doing more than just thinking about it. I have been purposely, instead of driving up to the bus stop to pick up my kids, and it's cold out, I walk. I walk up and back. So I'm exercising that way. I'm making a conscious effort to, get up out of my chair much more often from work to walk around. Is it working out with weights? No, it's not exactly where I want to be. But I also recognize that I didn't get to this point just overnight. This has been a my my lazy my lack of physical activity has been taking years to get me to this level because just seems like yesterday I was working out 6 or 7 times a week and I was in great shape. But it's really like 20 years ago when I was doing
Well,
that.
you were telling me about that gym. Let the audience know about the gym that you were telling me about that holds their members accountable.
Yeah, I was reading an article. I can't remember if it was on Entrepreneur magazine or Inc., but they said that a lot of gyms these days are built on a business model to that help that fills up the membership roster. They want you to come in and sign up, and all of their marketing and all, in fact, their whole facility is really geared towards getting you signed up. But then once you're signed up, they just, cut you loose, and they really don't care if you use the membership or not, because if you look at the capacity of the gym, it's like just a fraction of the size of the number of members that they have, because they do not expect everyone to be exercising. They expect people to sign up, use it for a few weeks, and then go back to the couch or the reclining chair. But they said there was another gym, and I forget the name of it, but their business model was very different. They wanted you to use the gym, so they didn't have any slick, motivational slogans up on the walls. They didn't have the disco light and the music blaring. It was just very bare bones, no bells and whistles. You go in there, you work out, they hold you accountable, and the way they hold you accountable is that if you don't go, they kick you out. They'll even refund your money if you don't go in there, and they charge a lot of money to do that.
It's a good idea because it also makes them exclusive. I mean, you have to earn the right to train there. And it's funny. Jiu-jitsu, or not every school, but a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, you get certain privileges when you go up in the ranks. And one of the things I know we're doing at our school to motivate some of the younger belts is to, everyone has to wear a white gi. Everyone's wearing that's the outfit that they wear. But in jiu-jitsu, you can also wear blue and black. There's and there's a few other ones, like sometimes you'll see like an off thing, like a red one. But the thing is our school is making a policy where you can't wear a blue or black one unless you're a purple belt or higher, which is halfway. That's probably spending, several years on the mat before you ever get that opportunity, because it kind of drills privilege into the staying around and training instead of just, coming and showing up. Kind of gives you, motivation to stay around and do something different. I know that sounds stupid, just a small thing like that, but when it's like anything. If you see someone, like I'm watching Sons of Anarchy. Have you ever seen that? About the motorcycle gang or motorcycle club? But and they're all based on a brotherhood, and you have to earn your patches. You have to earn your way in. You have to be a prospect for a year or longer, if they're actually interested in you, and prove yourself before you actually get initiated and become part of the club. And that's it's a motivational thing. Plus, it kind of makes it a not elitist, but it's makes people. It gives them a reason to want to join.
Yeah,
and I think that's what that club is doing.
Tom, something you said is very interesting to me. You're talking about saying these are just small steps, and in life, don't a lot of people say, "Oh, don't sweat the small stuff," but if you're trying to change yourself, you have to sweat the small stuff, because that is what is going to get you where you want to go. I personally think that we should be less focused on on the result that we're looking to get, and be more focused on the process of what we are actually going to do. When we used to work out on a regular basis, didn't we say, okay, weren't we very specific, and we say, okay, we're going to work 5 days a week? I mean, at least I did. Or and then it went from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. That has dwindled, but at my peak, when I was really into it and had been working out for several years that way, it was ingrained. I had a routine, and I knew that if I didn't go one day, I was going to go the next day. Um, so
You gotta also you gotta focus on what you want and not what you fear, right? Because it's like I was telling you, when I woke up that one morning and it was 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm looking at the alarm clock. I wasn't focusing on the benefits of working out. I was focused on oh man, if I train today, I'm going to get sick, or I'm going to be real tired later on, or I'm going to be dragging all day at work. And I should have been focusing on the positive sides rather than the negative.
well, you could say that, but let's just face it that motivation, enthusiasm, and even the way you just think about things in general, that changes from minute to minute almost. I mean, we could be highly motivated to do something, and when that alarm clock rings the next morning, that motivation's gone. So in order to create a routine, there's really three simple steps to creating a routine. One is to create a trigger for yourself. Um, I'll use answering the phone as an example, because that is a routine. That answering the phone is a habit. The phone rings, we pick up the phone, and the reward is that conversation that you have. And that reward could be positive or negative, depending on who you're speaking to.
Or just finding out who's on the other end of the phone.
Right, right.
Curiosity.
That's absolutely true. So maybe the trick for you, Tom, is to, maybe that trigger needs to be your alarm clock. So next to your alarm clock, put something there that is going to remind you to work out. Like when you see it, so it's a trigger.
I'm gonna take my head and I'll take a cutout in Photoshop of some bodybuilder body, and I'll put my head on top of it.
That I don't know how well that will work.
I want to wake up like Eddie Murphy did in what was the movie where he woke up and he had the symphony playing for him real gently, so he wakes up and he has all the harem there. Yeah, coming to America. That's how I want to wake up. All right.
So look at your trigger and then attach that to an action, and then determine what the reward is going to be for you. So for you, Tom, you want to wake up in the morning so you can acclimate yourself to start exercising.
Is that a dog barking in the background? Is that from your area, or is it mine?
It's from mine.
Okay. Anyways, John. Yeah, we're getting to like a half hour mark, so we should probably wrap this up or we just really wanted to show how we had made it a goal and are failing at it. So we wanted to share it, so it kind of gives an insight to what's going on, and if you're trying to make change in your life, and you're not alone. If you fall down, you just get back up and try again and try to figure out what went wrong to correct it, to course correct, right? A series of miniature kicks in the ass to keep you on your track and on your path.
Okay. Well, before we end, Tom, let me ask you this, because I need to kind of answer this for myself. How can you make it easy to say, yes, I'm going to get up and I'm going to exercise? I mean, how can you make yourself an offer that you can't refuse? You already told me, and I'll just share it.
Okay.
You told me that it would be so much easier for you to wake up if your wife would just have sex with you in the morning. That would get you up out of bed.
Yeah, that would, but that'd be hard when she's getting ready to go out the door at 5 a.m. to go to CrossFit. So for me to pull that off, I'd have to wake up a lot. 4:45.
But just I guess
Actually, I take that back. We got kids, man. We only got 5 minutes before someone comes knocking at the door.
yeah. So think about how you can make yourself an offer that you can't refuse, and how you could say no. And I'm going to do this too, and maybe we can pick this up at another time. But the first, the first part of creating a routine is creating a trigger, and that trigger is going to be the cue for you to do whatever you are looking to do. So here's the homework. One, create a list, or it's creating 2 lists. The first list is, what do you do each and every day without fail? Just write it down. You brush your teeth. I was going to say comb your hair, but that's just for me. Sorry.
Very funny.
I couldn't resist. Eat breakfast, drink coffee, or whatever it is. And then the second list, write down the things that happen to you each and every day. Like, you get email, or you drive in your car and you're at a stoplight. You see commercials, and through those 2 lists, you should be able to. Through those 2 lists, you are going to see habits. You're going to see routines that are already very well ingrained, and it'll be much easier for you to make change if you can attach what you're trying to do to something that you're already doing. Like you said, baby steps, just small things, but try to attach it to something that you already do. Let's try that. Let's try to work on our triggers to get a specific action. And
Sounds fair, man.
And then we'll talk about that some more. And we'd love to hear from our audience to hear what they're doing and what's working for them.
Sounds good. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to A Swift Kick in the Ass podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's content, and we ask you to please leave us a review in iTunes. Also, head over to aswiftkickintheass.com to get a free copy of the Simple Spending Tool.